man who fights crime, and we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time with John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minutes! Hello everyone, and welcome once again to Bat Minutes and Robin. This is the podcast where we have so many minutes to kill and so little time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And your other host is me, John Parker, the chatter who went out of style long ago.
I was trying to think, is that a thing that's in the minutes? I was like, no, it's about to go. Is that a quote from this minute, or are you just generally saying that?
Wait and see.
Ooh. Oh, wait, no, there is. Oh, my God. I thought I was so well prepared for this thing. Of course, that's in the minute. The minute, of course, we have other people come to join us for this minute. We have all the way, people know these voices. This is, it's Audra Wolfmann and Brett Stillo.
Hello.
Hello. It's
Hey.
little disappointed when we negotiated this. In my contract, it said we were going to talk about another Leprechaun movie.
Yes, yeah.
And
People might recall these two's voices from our much more successful main podcast, Leprechaun Minute. You guys were most recently on for Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yes.
So
And you promised us Leprechaun in space, so we're still waiting.
we have to get this sideshow out of the way, and then we'll get back to the main act of Leprechaun. Of course.
Yeah, Leprechaun pays our bills after all, you know.
I diddly-dee.
And I'm looking for any further updates. Of course, check the Leprechaun Minute Shoe Sign Society.
Please do.
It's still up and running.
Please do. But
Never forget.
Never forget. Never forget.
if you want to talk about a movie based on this utterly forgettable 1930s comic book character who's, was it? So it's the Sandman. Is that the Golden Age character we're talking about? It's Batman.
Yes, it is the Batman.
The Batman.
Yeah.
It's a very literal name. He is a Batman.
Mm.
He is.
Although he only dresses like a bat. He's not like fused to a bat or anything. It's just like he's just dressed up as one.
Yeah, which is less interesting, really.
Half the time you're like, is that a bat he's going for? It looks like horns he's got on. But, oh well. But we have been talking about that character for 99 minutes previously. But now we're on minutes 100 of Batman and Robin.
Jesus
and
Christ.
it begins with a sayonara from a belladonna. And it ends a minute later with a bobbing boy wonder.
I am obsessed with your pronunciation there. What you're doing like her accent. Please always speak like that. Yeah.
Was Sayonara Belladonna, that was a line in a Susan the Banshees song around 1983, wasn't it? Or was that an alternate title?
I'm hoping that's actually correct. That would be perfect.
Sayonara Belladonna.
This is like Susie Sue fan fiction happening over here.
Yes.
I was so happy that I got to work the term Belladonna of Madness into one of the outros of season 2, because it's like a little tribute to the Belladonna of Sadness. And I had to save it for one of our friends, Alison Grimm, because like she'll get the reference. She'll want that for her outro. And she was like, "Oh, that was good." And I was like, "That's all I wanted to hear." Someone say that was good.
Yes.
But yeah, minute 100. Where shall we begin? Should we just jump into the action?
Well, we usually start with asking the guests what their kind of opinion of Batman and Robin is, because it's so heavily divisive as a movie. This one, more than any, is like, we got to know what the guests think of it before we can begin to talk about it.
Yeah, we want to know what angle you're approaching it from.
You want to talk about my favorite superhero movie? Are we going to talk about my favorite superhero movie?
I hope so.
Okay, then let's talk about Captain America: First Avenger. But this is it is what it is. Funny, I never saw this one. I'd seen the first three.
For reasons. There are reasons.
And the reason why I saw this one was stopping into a McDonald's and seeing the toys up a month before the movie came out and just thinking, no, this is going to be about selling toys. I mean, the other three were about selling toys, but I just had this premonition of, this is like the toy makers like going through the script and saying, do you need to change this?
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have a bat snowmobile that we made, so throw right on a bat snowmobile. So I never saw this one until about 5 days ago.
So it kind of had the
is.
He-Man order of operations.
There's
Toys first.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Script
He-Man
later.
in this one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And the weird thing with it is a really toyetic movie, but there's loads of things that you look at and think, oh, that's blatantly a toy. And you find out later, oh, no, they never made a toy of that one.
Yeah.
It's happened multiple times. It's like, what?
Yeah, it's bizarre.
I think this is the most expensive cosplay movie ever made. Like, it really plays like an amateur, well, especially like our minute, or the first minute that we have here. It plays like a fan movie, a cosplay movie. It's a cosplay
really
version of what this movie should be.
But do you find that a fun thing, or
No.
is it just infuriating?
It's a little upsetting because like I say, this is a cosplay version of what it should be. This like shabby knockoff cosplay. It's like most cosplay we see, you know. This shabby
It's
knockoff.
so weird because it's like it is simultaneously quite expensive but looks very cheap.
Yes,
That's
what I mean.
We found
Yeah.
throughout the entire thing, like, and particularly looking at like the making of book where they talk about all the effort that went into making this and that and the other, and like, okay, it doesn't look expensive though; it looks very cheap. So
Yeah.
I guess that money was wasted.
And the following minutes, I think, are a really good example of that because obviously somebody spent a lot of time coming up with a light scheme and a color palette for this. But it just looks like you're in a cheap nightclub doing on a bad rave night.
Yeah.
The greens are just just make everything look like, I think you can see the seams on the costumes, and the purples look very runny. Yeah, look, everything here looks like it was done with dye.
Ooh. And the costumes look like they got them like at the Halloween Superstore. You know,
They really do. It's
cheap ass
bizarre.
wigs, especially for Poison Ivy, which is so sad. Like they could do so much with Poison Ivy, but instead, yeah, it's like it's a Halloween store meets raver bullshit.
Yeah.
She's still
Yeah.
perfect, though. Don't you dare diss my Ivy.
Yeah, because we begin with Ivy doing a sassy "see ya" and then strutting herself across the room before being somehow taken by surprise by Batman. Even though like she's walking, looking in one direction in this big open corridor, and she doesn't notice. Like you just move your head ever so slightly.
He's
to the
right there.
left. You'll see a huge man clad in rubber,
Yeah.
just glaring at you the whole time.
But then she wouldn't get to do that silent movie surprise move that she does, like, oh,
Yeah.
arms up.
I love that. All of her acting is just fantastic to me. I don't know how you both feel about it, and that to me is perfection. She knows what she's doing in this whole movie.
I agree.
Weirdly enough, it's a move that's that's a thing that Uma Thurman, and like I don't know if it might well be a silent movie kind of vibe she's going for because there's so
Yeah.
many like old Hollywood things in here. There's one big major reference coming up in the next minute as well, but it also I noted throughout the rest of the movie she does it a couple of times when Ivy's taken by surprise. She throws her hands up like that.
Yeah.
I think we're trying to say like is she trying to be like a cactus or something? Like is it kind of like a plant defense pose? Because you imagine like spikes coming out of her or something, so no one can get close to her. That might have been a nice touch of like, yeah, spikes erupt from her skin when she's threatened, and she goes into a cactus pose or something.
Yeah, but I mean, we could talk about all the problems we might have with this movie and everything like we think they got wrong and stuff. But one of the high points, if you will, is Uma Thurman's performance. Maybe the best performance in the movie. I think she just found the right beat. It's almost like she went to Julie Newmar and asked for some advice or something, because it's a very arch performance. It's very big, but I think a performance makes the costume a little bit better.
It's true, because I've not picked up on the cheapness of some of the looks, like this one in particular, until you mentioned it, Audra. I kind of just went, oh yeah, she's wearing that outfit. Okay, yeah. I'd not looked at it closely, and now with it running in the background here, it's boring, isn't it? Like the colors are
Halloween
nice.
Superstore.
Yeah.
I just read this morning that most of this movie is ADR'd.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And that's part of why Clooney was so checked out. Like he hates doing ADR, so when he had to record his lines, he was just like, okay, here we go.
Mm. The delivery on the day was like, "You're not the only one who can set a trap, Venus." Like he was way more keyed in, and now he's just doing a Harrison Ford like.
That's the ultimate in like ADR. Well, it's not really ADR technically, but yeah, Harrison Ford doing that voiceover on the original Blade Runner cut.
I've seen a Roy Batty dying like, all he wanted were the same choice as the rest of us. Yes. My God.
Now I'm fantasizing about someone bringing in Harrison Ford to coach him, and then they just the two of them just like have this, you know. So how should I say this? Kind of like that. All right.
Now I'm fantasizing about Harrison Ford recording a voiceover for this movie.
So Batman and Robin go to stop Mr. Freeze. And
hey, it fits though. It's like a film noir. Batman works in a film noir kind of context.
Like Joel Schumacher's like, I saw that Blade Runner movie and it worked great. Harrison Ford's just like, it was the move that just keeps backfiring.
This movie is in no way to film noir. It may be film color form.
Yeah, it's the complete opposite in every way.
Because the colors are so, like I said, glaring. But I'm Uma. You know, I don't know what kind of conversation she had with Joel Schumacher. If she, you know, like I said, I feel like she's. Of course, she's playing Poison Ivy, but she's channeling Julie Newmar and maybe even studied, you know, the real, you know, her performance on the old show was so, you know, wonderfully sociopathic.
Yeah.
You know.
It's kind of like, it's like a Julie Newmar, and there's a lot of Mae West and Tallulah Bankhead in there, too. There's a lot of, like, very old, very arch performances from, like, the early, like, actually from, like, the film noir period. Where it's kind of like, oh, well, that's about the closest you're going to get to capturing anything from that era.
If the first two Batmans were film noir-ish, this is like film moron.
Should point out, though, a little bit of the glasses adjusting while there's a continuity error there. Because you'll notice that Ivy has these giant studded bracelets on.
Oh, I wondered what you were going to say there. Okay.
And she did not have them on in the previous minutes.
No.
Like when she's seducing Robin, didn't have them. I don't know if Batman got these are like shackles he got on her somehow without her even knowing.
Nice.
And,
she just, she just whipped them on in the last few seconds.
Could be like I wouldn't be surprised if it was like, oh yeah, because they look so similar to Bane's shackles. She's like, oh, Bane bought these for me, and now I feel awkward if I don't wear them around him. Like I hate them, but like he made a big fuss of giving them to me for Christmas. So I'm like, okay, yes, I love them, darling. Yeah.
They're the best part of her costume, and they don't even really fit.
It is weird though. They are like, it looks as if those are literally Bane's bracelets that they've just like colored them. Like they'll painted them black and slapped them on. Maybe they're ones that like, oh, they didn't fit Jeep Swenson because he's like the size of two houses. So like, oh yeah, but they'll fit Uma Thurman, so you gotta use them for something. Otherwise, it'll be a waste of money.
That's right.
I'm gonna vote for a deleted scene. That, you know, she throws Robin into the drink, and then she turns to Bane and says, "Give me your bracelets because Batman will probably be here any second." And you know how he loves bracelets.
Oh yes, it's his favorite.
And then
thing.
they just said, "Yeah." The editor said, "Maybe we don't need that scene."
Would those in fact be gauntlets?
Oh, I think
they are kind of gauntlets.
Yeah,
changes everything. Gauntlets. Give me your gauntlets, Bane.
It's cooler.
Although that's the weird thing because this is the first time Ivy's been without Bane. The whole movie, Bane's with Mr. Freeze at the telescope place. What do we call it?
As if Freeze needs physical help.
Yeah. And this is because that makes this whole little scenario weirder because Bane would be usually her chauffeur, but as Ivy, I'm guessing she's going to the planetarium now. Like where else? Unless she's just going to go chill in another room while Robin dies. Like she is just like, oh, I guess I'm going to have to now go dressed like this and walk to the planetarium because Bane's not here to drive me. But like, just what she could drive herself, or she actually Poison Ivy could probably like hail a cab and then like pheromone the guy. But if she went out onto a street corner in that outfit, I'm pretty sure the police would be instantly like, hey, lady, what the hell? Like, take it back inside, all right?
It's Gotham, I mean, it might as well be San Francisco. You can wear whatever the you want. No one's going to look. No one cares.
That's my heaven.
Right?
Yeah.
Come visit.
Oh, I would love that.
Where are those gauntlets?
Hey, I'll wear
Batman-
only the gauntlets.
Yes. Well, for Folsom Street Fair, I
Yeah,
think that
yeah.
would be really.
So-
That might have been what Uma was pitching. She's like, I'll just wear the gauntlets. And we're like, well, compromise, have the outfit and the gauntlets. And then we're all happy.
Fine.
So, gentlemen, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
You are quite possibly the greatest living experts on this series of films.
Oh, definitely, yes.
How many times do our three heroes, over the course of these 4 movies, how many times do they crash through a window dramatically? Because
There's at least 4 times now.
Not
Yeah.
not
Will
enough for
happen.
my liking.
Yeah, because it's going to be 89. Obviously has the great bit of the Joker doing his boo to Vicky Vale, and then Batman comes in, puts a friggin' grappling gun up to his face and stuff. I don't think it happens in Returns. He does do a nice little bit where he swoops down into the sewer at the end, but like it was the Penguin who broke the glass that time by falling into it. So then, of course, in Forever, he does your entrance was good, his was better.
yeah.
Different showmanship. There's that, and at the beginning of this movie, lands on top of the Brachiosaurus, does the Fred Flintstone down,
Yeah.
and now Batgirl stealing his move.
Yeah.
With us, quite frankly, it would be like if he wasn't already pissed off about like Bat who. Like copyright infringement right there.
Yeah.
But like, that's my whole deal. Has to come in through the roof.
Yeah.
Even Robin can't do that.
I mean, yeah, so speaking of cosplay and fan fiction, is this Barbara Gordon? It would have been easier to go through the back door. But it's like, I want to be, I got to go through. Oh, wait, here's a plate glass window. I got to go through this way.
Make an entrance.
Or is the Schumacher just taking note and like, there's a bulletin board in a production office, like number of times we've gone through a plate glass window.
We bought so many. We have to
Yeah.
use them all.
Yeah.
Again, they
With
don't want to
sugar
waste the
glasses.
money.
Yeah.
Although before we even get to that, we do, of course, have My Vines Have a Crush on You.
Oy vey.
And Batman's swooped up in, which it must be like Ivy's most overused move. Not in this movie. It's like the first time she's done it in this particular film, but any other time you ever see Poison Ivy, Batman never learns this trick. Like, you go to confront her, and all of a sudden, a bunch of vines come out and grab him. And he's like, well, that's him taken care of.
He's like, oh no, again.
I never prepared.
Well, remember, too, it happens in her first appearance in the animated series. And I always remember it being weird, because she holds his head in place with the vines, and then she does the kiss. And Batman just spits out the poison. And I was always felt that it's a bit like, I suppose people do it with snakes and stuff, where you suck out snake venom. But I always felt like, just spit, it's still in your mouth, man.
Yeah,
Like,
it's worked its way in already, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
through
so like
the
I don't
skin.
see how.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know as well, because that also indicates a kind of level of, we always this Poison Ivy's quite chaste in comparison. Where like when she kissed Robin, it was just the lips. There was no tongue or anything like that. But like Batman having to spit out the poison is almost as if like she's injecting like massive fluid into his mouth as soon as the lips connect to something.
Ew.
Who doesn't like a nice wet one?
And then we have a line. Sorry for jumping ahead to the plate glass window, but because we do have a line you alluded to in your introduction.
Yes, we do indeed.
And that one, we were saying how much we like Uma Thurman's performance. That one line though bugs the hell out of me.
Oh,
I almost feel like I'm picturing her, in her trailer reading it 20 different ways, and maybe Schumacher just say it that way. That's fine. Because she seems to have trouble. Like where should I enunciate it? How should I say it? Should I, it's an awkward line.
What's the
Yeah.
line?
It's so many people to kill, so little time. If you were playing the role, Audra, how would you deliver that line? What's your take on that line?
So many people to kill, so little time.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
See, it's my favorite delivery in the movie, possibly.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people to kill.
Yeah,
I just
it's
appreciate
not bad.
it as, I'm sure it's just entirely coincidental, but I thought it might have been like a little nod back to 89 again, because of course the Joker has his so much to do, so little time. When he sees the picture of Vicky for the first time, it's like, maybe they're trying to bring it back, but I think it is like, she needs a line, she's got to go out in something.
It's and lazy it really is writing.
It really is. It's emphasizing the sheer villainy of this Ivy in that it's not about the plants for her at this point. Like, it's not about saving the planet in any way. It is more like, I'm just going to have a great time killing these people. And this is my whole deal now. I'm so many people to kill, so little time. Like, it's kind of emphasizing how much of a monster she has become.
Well, Niall, she does want to save the plants. She has to kill people to do it. You might as well enjoy your work.
See, and Niall, I just liked your Seth Rogen delivery on that line. So many people to kill, so little time. So little time. But
God.
Yeah, and John, sorry to call out your favorite line, but yeah, that one just was a little harsh on my ears. Something about that.
Well, what do we think of the line before that? The whole "my vines have a crush on you," because that's like classic cheesy Batman line, though. Like, I think. That's like, to me, you couldn't possibly have a problem with that. Like, that's perfect for this scenario.
It's super dumb.
I think the line before that's even more dumb. It's when Batman says, "You're not the only one that can set a trap, Venus."
Yeah.
What? Like, is that supposed to be a diss? Calling her Venus?
Well, Venus flytrap.
Yeah, but that's not an insult. She'd be like, yeah. Okay.
I guess it's an outright reference to the reason she's cast in this role is because she played Venus in the Adventures of Baron Munchausen, and Joel Schumacher was so enamored by her in that movie. So it's almost like the proper official like little acknowledgement of that beyond the visual references they've done throughout and stuff. Yeah. But at one point, though, I was just like, ooh, I wonder if I could look up, like, the world's biggest Venus flytrap. That'll be good content. And I found out, it's like, oh, yeah, record-holding size of 2.4 inches. I'm like, oh.
Holy cow!
You were expecting, like, 2.4, I don't know, miles.
I was expecting one, like, in a rainforest that would be like, yeah, it could actually swallow someone whole or something. But it's like, yeah, so some guy owns it. It's like, yeah, there's a bunch of them right there. It's like, yeah, they're pretty big, I guess.
Yeah, okay, cool, yeah. No, we've seen the world's biggest anyway. It's the one that's the star of Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
That puppet still is like
puppet?
The Frank Oz in the Frank Oz remake, the real plant that of course they used.
I do want to talk about that, but I think we should save that till the next episode.
Yes, that is much more
Venus
prominent in
fly traps, because I have a theory about that. But yeah, a couple lines that kind of clunk along. Thank God that's it, though. Everything is real smooth from here on out.
Oh yeah, it's all upwards.
To make up for it as well, of course, we do get another shot of the bat butt.
Hey, whoop,
whoop. I have to feel like, Bane's in this movie, the guy who broke Batman's back in the comics. Yet I feel the most damage Clooney was sustained to his back was when he goes flopping on the floor. That looks like that was actually sore to like go flatten your back and then be hauled upwards by the vines. It's like,
in some ways, for me, that shot of him being hoisted up and his cape drops down and you see the ridiculously prominent padded butt, obviously padding, that maybe just sums up the whole movie for me. It's a big padded fake butt.
I feel
they should have put that on the poster.
I feel like they kind of wanted to make sure that everyone got two shots, though, because we noted when Batgirl suits up, there's two shots of her butt, and it feels like, oh, maybe this is tipping the scales. Yeah. But then no, of course, both of them in the beginning, Batman and Robin, both get a butt shot, and then during the ice rink bit in the museum, Robin he goes up in a big kind of pole vault thing. We notice there's a very prominent shot of his ass there. And now, here we go. Batman also getting another butt shot. So Schumacher's just like, I'm perfectly egalitarian. Yeah. Like, I'm making sure that everybody gets equal representation.
Actually,
equal opportunity.
Picture, if you will, Schumacher's assistant comes with a bunch of notes about the script. And like, oh, we need to fix this. Oh, we have to address this problem. And in Schumacher's office, there on the wall are hundreds of storyboards and production stills of butts.
That's it.
He's just studying them and studying them. And it's like, Joel, if you have a moment, we have this problem with the transition here. No, just leave me. I'm busy.
I need to think.
Yeah.
I wonder though, with you talk about the paddedness of the butt, because I know Clooney constantly joked about like having the cod piece stuffed and things like that. But imagine like everyone was up and like, okay, stuff the cod piece. What about the butt? And you wonder, would he be like, I don't care about the butt, or do you think at that point you would be like, I guess I want a big ass too.
Yeah,
like,
you want some nice buns.
Yeah, Bill wants to become some sort of big dicked but small assed freak. Or something.
You've got to balance it out.
I mean, you do have the cape covering it, so you can picture
Wasted.
Yeah, picture clearly. Well, at least there's that.
Yeah.
Everyone will laugh at my cod piece, but at least they won't see the giant padded butt. Which...
Schumacher likes big butts, and he cannot lie.
Yeah, whoop whoop.
Hey.
Well, he obviously does, because this whole movie is just but. This shot is unnecessary, but I'm here for it. You don't need to see the butt. There's no need. You could shoot it from the front. It doesn't matter.
I'm criticizing it, but at the same time, I'm glad it's there.
Yeah.
Then speaking about things that like sort of popped up once at the start of the movie, and as we were talking about at the start of this minute, Batgirl does, or a mysterious masked vigilante.
Yeah, I won't say
room.
Batgirl. We don't know yet now.
Who's that? Yeah.
Somehow in those heels lands perfectly. Which is like, I think even like in modern day Marvel movies, and I'm beginning to notice now, it irks me more that like every time something happens in a Marvel movie, they have to quip. There always has to be some kind of comedy beat to it to sort of.
Yeah.
Even watching that new Spider-Man, I was so excited, but then it's just like, there's too many jokes in this. It's like, have a bit of stakes every once in a while, will you? But I feel like if this was like, like modern day movie would have her come in, probably fall, and then, or if she lands, she'd be like, whoa. Like she's impressed with herself or something. It's kind of almost refreshing to have her like, no, she knows exactly what she's doing. She's never done this before, to our knowledge, but she just lands in like Batman in those heels and is just ready to roll.
I'm with you, but as I'm going to bring up later in the week and possibly into next week, with this character, I don't like it because not to spoil things too much. We see how proficient she is. She's very, very good. She's learned how to do all of this in the blink of an eye. And I know, okay, she's had some judo training. I don't care. That doesn't prepare you for this.
Oh, no, I mean, it is ridiculous that she's just like so... Like, imagine in this Batgirl movie they're going to make, it will be much more about her so slowly making her way to becoming like a proficient in anything, whereas like she can't... Like, there's literally... Not even day one. This is like second one for her.
Yeah, we need like some Karate Kid montage of her getting ready.
Yeah.
Well,
training.
I mean, this is, as to my recollection, this is the first time we see Barbara Gordon as Batgirl. This is, I mean, we saw that suiting up montage that kind of teased us. But this is, ta-da, Batgirl. And yeah, she says, I'm Batgirl. I'm Batgirl. But... I mean, how far do we get? Do we want to delve into the problems of this version of Batgirl? Because I think, like you just made a good point. It was like suddenly she's a full-fledged crime fighter. Yeah. When all we knew is she was a motorcycle. She liked to ride motorcycles, and she was kind of a college dropout. But I think
has some self-defense lessons because London's kind of rough. Like that was the extent of her training.
Even if you are like really good at martial arts, really took to it, it doesn't explain this.
Yeah. Like that's falling through a glass window in a roof and landing in exceptionally high heels.
Yeah.
Which would probably...
Like
I don't think they could even take the weight of you landing.
The heel snaps.
Yeah.
She's not like it'd be fair enough if she's on a grappling hook or something, but this is like, no, that's entirely free fall there.
But, I mean, here is, like, to me, a big problem with this movie and a big problem with, like, most 90s superhero movies is they conveniently, or for the sake of convenience, they rewrote this character who, her origins is pretty cool. She's kind of inspired by Nancy Drew. Oh, she's the daughter of the commissioner. What a great little twist. And, Audra, you mentioned cosplay. Yeah, she's this kid gender aside, it's like, I want to be like Batman.
Yeah.
And we know from the comics and even the TV series, like, she trained on her own, and like, Batman is this mysterious figure. I mean, there's also this irony. They don't know, who's this Batgirl? I don't know, who's this Batman? They work together, but they have no idea who their true identities are. And, for this script, they come up with, Uncle Alfred, and this, they take the character in a different direction, and it's like she's another Dick Grayson. Oh, I'm kind of a wild character, and I like motorcycles, and They had a great character, and for this script, they ditched a lot of great ideas. And like you're saying, we saw, like, it's the commissioner's daughter. Of course, she's probably studied with other cops and she took class, but it's like, nope, they went with a different direction.
It's an odd choice.
And
I know, like, Audra, I know that because you own a Batgirl, like a 60s Batgirl costume. Like,
yeah, I've done some Batgirl burlesque.
What's your, like, I'm assuming that you are, like, a big fan of the character.
Absolutely.
So, like, what do you make of Alicia and the Joel Schumacher interpretation in that regard?
No, sir, don't like it. I'm not impressed. I first off, her costume needs to be purple.
Yeah,
it could at least be like a dark purple, couldn't it? Like a hint of purple in there.
That's the thing. The costume is like, it's lame. Like, it's just kind of boring. Like, it's
beyond boring. It's insulting because it's got these like exaggerated boobs on it.
Yeah,
and
it's drawn to look like it's kind of like she's wearing a corset. And then if you look at the boobs, it's kind of like a line across, as if that's where the bust would be and stuff. It is like, I can actually send you guys, which I thought was like, it's different. I don't know if it's better. I can put it in the chat here. The original concept art of this version of Batgirl.
Oh yeah, I've seen this. Yeah,
where she had the bat emblem was the cleavage. Basically, it was cut out. So she didn't have an emblem. It was just cut into like the shape of a bat above her boobs. And that would have been a massive exposed area where someone could like stab her or shoot her, I guess. But
it doesn't matter because she looks good.
That's right.
But the thing is, I would almost kind of prefer that because it's like, well, at least it's something. Like, this is just nothing.
Yeah, the sketch looks like somebody studied the comics and the TV show. I mean, one of my takes on the costume, and I'm going to go heavy geek here. Heavy geek. It's like the costume designer saw some illustrations of the Huntress and didn't bother to look at Batgirl. It's like, okay, yeah, this is same thing, right? And it's like, that isn't really a Batgirl costume. It's another character. It doesn't kind of fit with the character. When I get Batgirl, Yvonne Craig, a ballerina. She's acrobatic.
High kicks.
Another thing, as I think everybody knows, Alicia Silverstone got called out by people. They're pretty cruel, some body shaming.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yeah.
And, I think it's just, awful nitpicky people. But I also think, like, the costume didn't do her any favors. It's just, like, it's kind of an unflattering costume. Even when you see it, like, on a mannequin. It's, the corset is kind of, it looks kind of bulky in some spots.
It's kind of weird because this suit was weirdly improved because they used it again for the Birds of Prey TV show. And Dina Meyer from Starship Troopers played like Oracle in that, but they had flashbacks of her as Batgirl. And they painted the emblem yellow and they painted the belt yellow. And just seeing her like that's way better. Like, it just looks instantly, it looks more like because the original Batgirl outfit was, in the comics, it was black, blue cowl, then yellow emblem. And then for the TV show, which was coming out like at the same time, it was Corporate Synergy that they created Barbara Gordon for the comics and the TV show at the same time. But at that point, Catwoman was already wearing black and gold, and they're like, it's too similar, so we'll go for purple. And it's become weirdly, it's more iconic now, because then afterwards, after the TV show, you don't get purple on Batgirl. She goes into like gray, yellow, and blue, just the Batman colors in those in the 80s and stuff. And it's only in the 2005 they have the Batman TV show where they actually give her a pretty cool outfit, but she's all in purple again. It's like a purple mini dress with one of those ring belts. And she's got like, she's completely covered and stuff, but they harken back. It's like, no, she's in purple because that was her in the 60s. And ever since then, you had like the Stephanie Brown Batgirl. She adopted the purple. And then you got like, my favorite Batgirl outfit is the kind of more modern interpretation that Gail Simone did. This one, the Batgirl of Burnside, where she's just kind of wearing like a purple trousers, purple leather jacket zipped right up to the top. And it's kind of got like little army lapels. Clasp the cape on, and I just love that outfit. Actually, former guest of the show, Brittany Howarth, Brit Girl, she does a great cosplay of that. She's got the exact thing, the big yellow Doc Martens and stuff.
Oh, nice.
But it's but then it's in comparison to all that. Then even when you had like friggin' Batwoman back in the day with the yellow and red and stuff, it's like, oh, something. But then this is just like, it's just kind of like a black tight kind of thing. You don't really get seeing any details on it or anything. And it's just sort of like, almost feels like it was cobbled together. Like it was just like, it's fine, just whatever. Domino.
Well, you could play devil's advocate and say, well, okay, Alfred didn't have a lot of time to make this.
And he's not in the best shape.
No, it's not his best work. He's currently indisposed.
I just wonder if it was just because like, so Batman's all black this time, or was blue, what they claimed. It was just like, well, she has to be the same, so she can't have the emblem stand out or anything.
Oh, that's 100% the reason. It's like, well, she's Batgirl. She has to match Batman.
Yeah.
Right.
I do kind of wish they would do like a. I'm hoping, high hopes for this Batgirl movie they're bringing out, and maybe they might be like, we can't do that because they kind of did it with Spider-Man and Marvel, but like she is supposed to have made the outfit herself.
Yeah.
So maybe she should have like, it's a motorbike helmet, but she's attached little things on it, and it is a leather jacket zipped up to the top, but she's like sewn on a bat symbol and stuff like that. And then maybe like at the end of the movie or in the next movie, she gets a new suit because Batman is like, well, here's the tech, go and make yourself a suit or whatever.
Yeah, because he wants her help, but he's like, well, you need to be protected though.
Yeah,
you can't just wear this thing you've cobbled together.
I think that's why I like the Batgirl of Burnside. That's the where she donned this new suit because ironically enough, her old costume got burned in a fire, so she just has to go make her own. And I think I like it because it is so low tech, and it does look like, a teenager could put that together. Because it's kind of like, well, it's like Barbara's supposed to be in her 20s, but it's like, someone with like no money and no resources could kind of look like a superhero by just putting this thing, out of actual clothes that they own into practice.
Details like that make a character more realistic and more identifiable. I would understand that more, but no, they're not interested in expanding character in this movie.
Yeah.
No one gets that chance.
Why is it you gravitate towards the character of Batgirl so much, Audra? Like that you would choose her as a character to do Burlesque because they're like I'm hoping now like it's gonna be a really personal story, and you're just like, you might just be like, somebody.
You just like purple.
Yeah.
I mean, she's just a badass in the. I mean, I really like the original 60s TV show. That's what it comes down to. I like the aesthetic, and I like the high kicks. I like her physicality. And of course, I like the costume, the purple costume.
It's interesting that you bring that up, actually, because, this movie is known for being so over the top and overblown and crazy and wild and colourful. Yet the one place they've held back, her costume. Why?
Yeah. I don't know, it feels like all the heroes have to be straight-laced. Like, ironically, for this movie, I guess it's quote-unquote straight-laced.
Well, people always prefer the villains, who are usually kind of a little bit queer-coded, which ties into your straight-laced thing.
Yeah, maybe that's why people end up preferring the villains. It's like, well, look at what they get to wear. And then,
their costumes are always better.
So here we go. I got a good one. You guys ready for this? I swear to God, I just came. This one just came to me. But we're also going to get some wonderful dialogue that's like written by a guy. That's sort of like, like, hey, I'm a feminist, but it's not. It's a guy. It's a male writer. The original incarnation of Batgirl, and this is in the '60s. Audra, was what you were alluding to. she's a very independent character. She decides on her own, yeah, I want to fight crime. I want to help my dad. I'm going to do this on my own. I don't need it. She does, and look, do-it-yourself costume, and, her bat cycle is like this. She's a very independent character. I think always has been. In this version, Uncle Alfred acts as like, fairy godfather. Yeah. Here you are, my dear. Here you go. And it's like, okay, and it's
her bat bike turns into a pumpkin at the stroke of midnight.
Yeah. And her independence, because her costume has generally always been sort of more colorful than her inspiration, her if you will, her mentor. But in this is like, okay, you're a girl Batman. Here's a female version of his costume. We'll give you a corset instead of nips. So.
They should have just called a girl Batman. That'd be quite good.
Yeah, it's kind of
Yeah, where's the female empowerment in that?
Well, this is an interesting part, isn't it? Because they brawl, the two of them, and weirdly, it's like a fight between two different sort of opinions and strands of feminism.
Totally. It's first wave feminism fighting third wave feminism. I love that.
Yeah, because she comes out with the line, using your feminine wiles to get what you want, trading on your looks, read a book, sister. That passive-aggressive number went out long ago. And it's like, hang on a minute, Ivy's a scientist. She's read a book or two. You can be smart and sexy.
A non-nerd book.
Yeah, she's third wave, definitely.
And
that's why we like villains.
Yeah, hell yeah. If you're going to pick a side here, you're picking Ivy, right? Come on.
I think even Ivy doesn't even take it as an insult. When she says trading on your good looks, Ivy kind of gives a little well, yeah. she's like, yeah, that's totally what I'm doing.
Yeah, she knows that's what she's doing. It's a deliberate thing. It's a weapon. What's wrong with that?
It's just, I thought of it first. But you're just jealous because you didn't think of it first, Batgirl. That's your problem. Although, to be fair, Barbara Wilson did trade in it earlier, kind of. Because what she do to work her way into Alfred's good graces was, pretend to be a schoolgirl.
Yeah.
And that she's nice and sweet and innocent. And that was all appearances as well. So, you were as manipulative as Ivy yourself, Barbara.
Screw you, Barbara.
Yeah. And of course, it's like a short, skirted schoolgirl.
Yeah.
And, Robin gets to ogle her. So she absolutely traded on her looks as well.
There is some kind of thing, though, in terms of what they're saying about, portrayals of feminism here. And I feel there's almost because Barbara in this movie is a kind of tough biker chick, but she's kind of Mr. Freeze and Bane are hyper masculine because it's Arnie, and he's also Mr. Freeze is proper cis het guy too, just so upset about the death of his wife and stuff, can't let her go, all this business. And then of course Ivy's almost extreme, almost costumed of femininity, it almost feels like it's a kind of farcical portrayal.
Well, hence why I constantly call her a drag queen.
Yeah. And it does feel then Barbara's kind of in the middle, where she's she's feminine. And she has this caring side because she also cares more, going out of her way for Alfred and all, kind of nurturing him and stuff. And also, she likes rough and tumble things that we associated classically with masculinity, doesn't mind fighting and going on motorbikes and things like that. So it's almost a world where, if they thought of it, it's you could make some kind of statement about that here, kind of. But I don't know if it was a thing that they have in their minds. If they were just we just need Batgirl in the movie. That's all we want to have. She'll sell toys. Come on.
The feminism in this movie is grade school feminism.
Oh yeah, it's like the Spice Girls going girl power. It's
exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, it's perfectly encapsulated by the next line of "chicks like you give women a bad name," whereas you're not supposed to use the term chicks anymore.
Thank you, male writers.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
I reckon Joel Schumacher probably thought, she would say that. She would say that. She's cool. She's one of the boys.
It's the era of Beavis and Butthead. They said chicks all the time.
Yeah.
It's Beavis and Butthead are f***ing idiots. That's the whole point of the show.
I think that line, personally, was Joe Esterhouse's one contribution to the script. You need to have Batgirl call Poison Ivy a chick.
Oh, yeah.
There's a notable thing too.
Send me a check.
There's a notable line cut too that's in the script and novelization where she says all that, but she also says preying on men's weakness for sex.
Yeah.
And they cut that out. I don't know if the suits were like, hey, we're not all, sex crazed maniacs, even though they all are, because it's Hollywood studio executives. Or if they just didn't want to have, the sex outright stated in the movie.
I think that's what it is. I think the financiers, our favorite fast food chain, probably said that you can't say that word.
Yeah. It's also quite nowadays it would be called heteronormative as well, because it's just like, well, you're assuming that all men are heterosexual and they're all into women and they're all obsessed with sex, and it's like it's a bit insulting. But
I hadn't thought of it from that angle actually.
That's also too. It's almost kind of like it's just the phrasing of men's weakness for sex is like they can't help themselves. Like, you can't expect them. It's their weakness.
It's not their fault.
They're like a bunch of dogs. A bad dog.
It's like every court case is just like, oh, of course, he's a man. He couldn't help it. It's his weakness.
Right. That's the whole it's her fault. Look what she was wearing. Kind of.
That's the inevitable conclusion to come from that, really, isn't it? Yeah, well, you were wearing that, so he's a man. What do you expect to happen?
Yeah.
Hey, but on the other side of this, there's a reason they cast Alicia Silverstone like this bland blonde character who will appeal to men.
Yeah.
There's a reason they didn't put like some intellectual character or an edgy character in there, like Frieza Bulk. They're trading on men's weakness for sexuality.
Well, it's ironic that both in this movie they have the term crush used because Alicia Silverstone was the star of The Crush. But then she also played a very Ivy-esque character in that, in that movie. She was just like, oh yeah, using trying to seduce this man, and that if you watch The Crush, it's very uncomfortable because it's like she's underage, and Carrie Elwes is kind of like he's the victim because he can't help himself. She's throwing herself at him, and it's like, dude, she just fucking say no and just shut it down altogether. But he's like, but she is hot though. I don't know what to do. It's like
it was the young version of Disclosure.
Yeah, the after-school special version.
Yeah, right.
Although that was one thing we've never brought up as well. Kind of, it's weird seeing these two women do this because Lisa Silverstone played that role of a underage woman attempting to seduce men in order to get what she wants. And Uma Thurman's first ever role was in something called Kiss Daddy Goodnight. Which was originally titled A Rose by Any Other Name, which is both kind of Poison Ivy-ish kind of things.
Both a little bit sleazy too. Yeah,
very much. I think even the 1994 seen Uma Thurman talk about it, and she's even then, it was released in 87, and she's like, oh yeah, it's a terrible movie. Absolutely complete trash. But co-star Steve Buscemi as well, weirdly enough. But it's all about, she plays a teenager who seduces men, then drugs them, then robs their apartments. And then she finds out there's a guy after her now. She's run afoul of a stalker and stuff like this. But again, it's very Ivy-ish in the way of like, oh yeah, seduces men, drugs them to get what she wants. But yeah, it's just in that same vein of like, it was happening all the time. In Hollywood, in the late 80s, early 90s, is all The Crush and Poison Ivy the movie. And things like, Disclosure and Basic Instinct, where again, it's just like, oh yeah, these women are crazy. They keep coming after these men. And it's like I know they're hot and stuff, and we can't help it, but leave us alone, would you?
The 90s erotic thriller, which is a future episode of Retrophilia, which will probably already be out by the time you hear this.
Hey, cross promotion.
Yeah.
But yeah, the end of the minute does have a very memorable shot.
Oh, I know the bit you're going to talk about.
Oh, I wonder if we're going to talk about the same thing. Please continue.
This startled the crap out of me. I've never noticed it before because I've never studied this very closely. I'll be honest.
Oh, I think when I was a kid in the cinema, I noticed this because it was so like, what the hell? But,
right?
Yeah, we've talked a couple of times about there's almost a weird Ed Wood influence over this movie, with Mr. Freeze's speech been very close to "I have no."
Well, now I'm sad we didn't get Ed Wood's Batman.
But yeah, there's a shot of Robin writhing in the water that is blatantly one shot that they've just reversed the footage and rolled it back again. In Bride of the Atom or Bride of the Monster in Ed Wood the movie, the Tim Burton movie, you see them flat out doing it because it's cheap. It's cheaper to do it that way.
Yeah. In fact, I think it is the same shot we see in the next minute when he surfaces, and they just took that shot and recycled it because the editor thought, we need to see him with his head bobbing. They didn't have that, but maybe that sums up the movie. Multi-million dollar big budget feature. It's like the editor says, "You got any more Robin writhing in the water?"
Oh crap!
Yeah.
It's like Chris O'Donnell was like, I already went on that goddamn ice cream.
Yeah.
Now you want me? No, I'll get in there for 5 seconds, and then I'm straight back out. I'm not doing this.
I think you're
no
totally.
reshoots.
I think you're totally right, though. I think it's the exact same shot as when he gets out, and they clearly in the editing were just like, well, how people just assume he'd have drowned by now. It's like, we need to show him breathing. What do we do?
I see where. In the pacing, excuse me, folks. Yeah, you want to cut back to Robin, kind of adds to the suspense. Everybody's having a bad day. But, somebody said, oh no, we need to see him catch look, he barely gets to the surface, catches his breath or something. There's probably a lot of underwater shots of him. And you just needed a second. But yeah, it's just weird. It's, yeah, like I said, in some ways it sums up. It's like, we got this huge movie. Oh, let's do a Benny Hill camera trick.
And sometimes you can pull it off. Like, I know it's obvious in Star Wars when they do it with the Sand People, but it works. You don't, it looks a bit weird, but in like a cool way, in a fun way. This just looks wrong.
Yeah, it's jarring.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of when they have car chases and they speed the cars up, but you can tell, like they speed the footage up, and you can tell instantly, and something's wrong, something's off.
Yeah, it is odd though that is a choice now that's like associated with, like to me, with Ed Wood, who like infamously directed Plan 9 from Outer Space, which was hailed for a long time as the worst movie ever made, until. Batman and Robin came out.
Yes.
It's almost as if they did it deliberately.
Are you discounting Troll 2?
I don't think the cult acclaim of Troll 2 had made a splash at this point, though. It was like 10 more years, and they're like, oh, hey, this Troll 2 movie. Have you ever seen this thing?
John Fenn, that's your favorite movie, though.
It is one of them. It certainly is. Genuinely.
Keep it rolling.
But yeah, now with the arrival of the third of the Bat family, we're on triple digits as well. Ironically enough, it's almost as if they planned it that way to have like
they thought about podcasters in the future, basically. Yeah,
it's like every time it's the third of the dynamic duo. It doesn't work. The dynamic trio does not work at all. But yeah, I'm noted out for a minute 100. I don't know. You guys have anything else you want to bring up for this particular minute?
The only thing I've got is if you go to like in the file, it's like second. Let me get this second. 36. I'm really confused from that point on how Ivy falls over. It's supposed to be from Batgirl's like cartwheel kick, but the foot doesn't even come close to her. What? She just goes. It looks like she's doing a death drop.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to. It's cowboys, John. A bunch of cowboys making this movie.
We will head off into the dark night. Would our wonderful guests like to plug themselves, promote their work, whatever you want to shove in the listeners' ear holes?
I got nothing.
What?
Yeah, I did swim across the English Channel, but I didn't punch Herman Goring in the nose, so I don't got anything really to talk about.
You only
at
punched
the moment,
him.
but I got a punch. I don't know, somebody, Conrad Veidt. But anyway, yeah, let's talk about retrophilia.
Oh, yes. Well, you can check out my podcast, Retrophilia, spelled like necrophilia, but it's retro.
Oh.
On all the podcast places. iTunes, Spotify, all that stuff. And then I have another podcast called Speak Easily versus the 80s, where we look at 80s movies. The best kind of 80s movies, like Troll 2.
The greatest.
And Vibes.
Yeah.
I've got them. I don't know if I mentioned you, Audra, but like one of our, at the end of the week, we always do the, movies that everybody hates that the guests love. And Dale Kingsmill, her choice was Vibes. And I was like, oh, I've seen that movie. I was not expecting it at all, but I was like so excited when she brought it up. I was like, oh, yeah,
Someone knows it.
The whole show with that.
That's fantastic.
It's heard of. And retrophilia is new and it's wonderful. And now, because you've said it's like necrophilia, now I'm just thinking, so retrophilia is like necrophilia, but with like a really old body. Okay.
That's what we're doing. Right now, we're digging up the 90s and effing it.
That should be your promo. Like, just say it.
We're the 90s.
Hell yeah.
In all the directions.
Well, listeners, if you want to also... How do I put this in a PG term? No, you just have to beep it again now. If you also want to 90s, go and listen to that show and come and speak to us if you want to talk about Batman. Just as much sexy talk going on with the Batman stuff over at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of them. Just put in Batminute. And why not check out the Sleepy Charlie Media Patreon for wonderful bonus episodes. And you just help us out. It's just nice. You do a good deed. You can feel like a good Samaritan, and you can pay for all of our beer that we consume. No, not really. It doesn't go on that, don't worry.
Beer fun.
It goes on paying the stupid fees to host a podcast. We'll be back on Wednesday with more exciting Bat-Minute talk. See you then.
Yes.
Next time, Batgirl versus Poison Ivy. As an ex-student in STEM melees with the mistress of STEMs, we get more barbed comments and a callous confession. Batgirl gives hell to the jolly green Jezebel, but which confusing debacle will finally fell this noxious, nefarious ne'er-do-well? We learn the truth about bats and dogs on Wednesday as the perennial princess of plunder battles an up-and-coming girl wonder. Let's get ready to rumble!
We'll be back.
back.